Alright, today we're going to make a very good high quality extension cord for plugging in band equipment. Here in the country I was born in, our cords come with black, white, and green for your 110, 120 volt extension cords. Black is live, white is neutral, the green is the ground. And the wire size and the amperage rating is the same as in electrical wiring. 14 is rated for 15 amps, 12 is rated for 20 amps, and 10 is rated for 30 amps. And I'll show you how to put this very high quality extension cord together. Okay, so we have our cord here that we have to take our outer jacket off. So we're just going to carefully score the outer jacket with our cutters like that, and we'll just bend it until our outer jacket breaks. And we'll pull it off like that. And we have our 3 conductors. Green, which is ground, white, which is neutral, and black, which is live. And we're going to cut our filler off here. So this is our plug here. I'll show you the packaging and the item numbers and everything. And inside the plug you will see a brass colored terminal, which is your live wire, the green screw, which is the ground, and your silver terminal over here is your neutral. So we'll get our end pushed through here. See, it comes through the little piece of rubber in there. We'll open up our clamp a little bit more so it's easier to push our wires through here. There we go. We got our wires up through our little rubber seal in here. Okay, next we will strip our wires to the lengths we need here. As you can see, the wire gauges are marked on your wire strippers, and this is 14, so we'll take our 14 hole. There's our green for the ground. Gotta strip them the same length so it lines up properly. There's our neutral. And here's our live wire. We have them all stripped evenly here. Now we'll twist our strands together so they all stay nice and tight in the connection. And we'll see our pressure plates are open there, so we'll put our wire down into the hole. Make sure we don't get our copper insulation underneath. We get our copper under the pressure plate and our insulation not under the pressure plate. We'll just tighten our screw. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, we have our black, which is live over here. So we'll get our black wire here. We'll twist our strands together so they're all nice and tight. Now the reason I have, see how that pressure plate stays down when I have it put in this way? So that this is easier to put it in this way with the screws facing up so that the pressure plate is down, so that the you don't hit the pressure plate and mess the strands up. So get them all twisted nice and tight. Be careful when you put it in so you don't mess the strands up. Okay, I see a little bit of the strands right at the top of the pressure plate, so I'll tighten our screw. Make sure you're putting the black on the brass one. Make sure it's nice and tight. And I see a little copper up above the pressure plate, so now we're ready to do our white wire. So I'll have to bring it over this way. So I will take, see how can we get it over? Let's get it under here. I'll do this before I twist the strands. There we go. Okay, we'll twist our strands together. Get them all nice and tight like that there. Make sure our pressure plate is down here. See how it's down? Put our wire in without messing up our strands. And get our insulation up to just right up to the top of the pressure plate there. See how it's right up at the top of the pressure plate? Okay, I want to make sure I don't get the insulation under the pressure plate. It's hard to see. Okay, it's right at the top. And we'll just tighten it up nice and tight like that. Now we'll line our plug up and put it back together. It has 2 screws here. So there's our little key right here. See the little key right here? And there's our little notch right here. So we'll just slide this up. There it is. It just sits right in there nicely. Now we can tighten our 2 screws here. See how it goes down? It has nice big threads. You don't have to do much turning. 1, 2. Now we'll bring it up on this end. We're going to make sure our wire is going in straight. See how it's going in straight? You don't want it cockeyed. And then we'll just tighten our screws here. Make sure it's nice and snug so it doesn't get pulled out. And you want to have even pressure on both sides so it's tight. And that's how we want it. Okay, now we're going to put an outlet on this box here with the other end of our cord here. So we'll open up our knockout. Okay, and we'll strip our wire, so we'll just be very careful just to score the outer jacket and not hit the conductors underneath. We'll bend our jacket. See how I cut into the insulation there? So we're not going to be able to, we have to cut this back. So that's why you have to be very careful when you do the scoring. I did that on purpose so you can see what could happen to the conductor there. So we'll cut it off right there. Okay, so we'll just go very carefully. And we'll just bend our jacket until you see the outer jacket break. And we'll just pull it off like that. And we'll get all our filler out of here. We'll put our Romex connector onto our box here. And we'll make sure it's on here nice and tight like that. And we'll build up our jacket here with some electrical tape so we don't pinch our wires together inside. So I'll build it up nice and thick here. So we got a nice buildup of tape here. And we'll get our Romex connector loosened up a little bit here. Get it right in the middle so we get, okay, so we get our tape up inside there. Make sure we get it even on both sides here. Okay, we got our connector clamp screws even on both sides there. And since this is a metal box, we're going to use our bonding screw. And we'll put it in this threaded hole here in the back of the box. And we're going to convert to solid wire to put our wires on the terminals of the outlet to make it easier. So we'll bend this ground wire about right here. And we'll close our loop a little bit here like this. And we'll put it around the screw, the direction our screw turns here. Close our loop the direction our screw turns, like this here. Make sure our copper is under the screw head all the way around. Like that here. So we have this wire tail to go to our outlet and this one to go to our green wire. So now we'll strip our wires for our wire nut to go to the solid wire. So we'll strip with our 14 gauge hole. Okay, so these are the caps we're going to use to connect our wires together. So we will strip our 14 gauge wire we're going to put together in here with our 14 gauge hole. I'll strip them a little shorter so I can wrap the stranded wire around the solid wire here. Okay, so we'll take our white wire, get our insulation even at the bottom here like this. Don't twist our strands together. Wrap our strands around our solid wire like that. That's how I want it. And we'll take our orange wire nut, make sure our insulation goes into the bottom of the wire cap. And we'll just twist it on here nice and snug. Make sure our insulation goes inside the wire cap there. We'll do the same with our black wire. We'll just strip a little off with our 14 gauge hole. Pull our strands up without twisting them together. Get our insulation even at the bottom like this here. Get down a little more. Wrap our strands around our solid wire with our copper even at the end and our insulation even at the top. Now we'll take our orange wire nut, see our insulation go into the bottom of the wire nut. Make sure it goes on nice and tight. And make sure our insulation is going up into the bottom of the wire nut. And we'll do the same with our ground wire here. Get our strands wrapped around our solid wire like this. And have our copper even at the end here. Put our wire nut on. Make sure it's nice and tight like that. And we'll put our ground wire down into the bottom of our box so it's out of the way of everything here. Now here in the country I was born in, our outlets are polarized. Your black wire always goes on your brass screw, or it could be red and blue. Your white wire goes on the silver screw, which is the wide slot, and that's neutral. And we like to close the screws we're not going to be using so that it doesn't touch something in the box you don't want it to touch. So now we will take our white wire. We'll take off about an inch here. We'll make our loop. You always put your wire around the screw, the direction your screw turns. So when you tighten the screw, it doesn't open the loop, it will close the loop. And we'll close our loop. Okay, so we'll start with, we'll put our white one on the, well, we'll do our black one first. Put it down here around the screw, the direction the screw turns. Close the loop the direction the screw turns. Make sure our copper is under the screw head all the way around, like that. Okay, we'll flip it over. Now we'll do our white wire. We'll get our white wire over here onto our silver colored screw. Put it around the silver colored screw. Close it the direction our screw turns, like that. Make sure it's nice and tight like that. You don't want your insulation back behind this plastic, and you don't want it pinched under the screw head. And now we'll get our ground wire onto our green screw. I hope it's going to be long enough. If it's not, it's not. We're not going to get upset. And I don't think it's going to be long enough, so we don't get upset over stuff like this. You just... Okay, so we're going to make it longer, so we'll take this wire off of here. We'll open up our loop. And if I make a video where my hands are in the way of everything, you know what? I make a video with my hands in the way of everything. And you know what? You don't get upset about it. You don't get frustrated. Just be thankful that you made a video. Okay, so I put it back around our green screw here. Close it the direction the screw turns, like that. And we'll tighten it back up again. Okay, there we go. Now we'll put it back down. Now we have enough wire to go up to our receptacle. Now we can push our wire nut with the ground wire down, fold them in like that there. Now we have enough wire to put our green wire around, our ground wire around our green screw. So we'll fold our wires up. We put them into the box like an accordion. And we'll get our ground wire around the green screw, like that. Make sure it's nice and tight like that. I don't like how the Phillips screwdriver hops on these screws, so I'm going to just tighten them again with the flathead. There we go. And now we can fold our wires into our box. And we'll push our ground wire up away from everything here. Now I'm going to use a shorter 632 screw here, because if you use this long screw here, it's going to hit the Romex connector, and it's going to bend this tab that screws into up, and then the outlet will always be loose. So we're going to use this extra cover screw we have for down here. Make sure it's on here nice and snug. It's nice and snug. Our screws aren't hitting any wires. Okay, so there it is, all done. And now we'll just stick our utility box cover on here like this. And it looks nice, doesn't it? This is a polarity checker to make sure your outlet is hooked up correctly. You can use it for your wall receptacles and your extension cords. You can see this extension cord is wired correctly. Here is the plug we used. And inside the box there's instructions. You just cut the box down the corner and there they are.